Hi there. Have you ever had whiskey regret? I have, and I'm going to share some of that with you now. Welcome to Birdman's Bar and Grill. On this channel, we do whiskey deep dives which are spec driven and based on real world experience and my honest opinions. Every whiskey I review either comes from my bar or I've tried them in person, so there's no bullshit, right? If that's of interest to you, maybe consider subscribing because there's plenty more content that I have planned in the future. Today's video is the start of a new segment for the channel called Top 10s. In this video, we're going to focus on whiskey regret. I drank these so you don't have to, is the message. These are the 10 bottles on my bar that I wish I'd either not bought or bought something else instead. So let's get stuck into it. First up, we're going to Scotland. First bottle I wouldn't buy again is the Johnnie Walker Red. It's not that it's a terrible whiskey, it's just that there's better blended scotches out there. If you're looking for something to level up your cocktail and you need that smoothed out flavour profile of a blended scotch, Johnnie Walker Red, you can do a lot better. For an extra $20, I suggest you go for Monkey Shoulder. Added bonus with Monkey Shoulder is you can also drink that one neat. It's actually not a bad sipper. So my recommendation, spend the extra $20, $25 and pick yourself up a bottle of Monkey Shoulder instead of the Johnnie Walker Red. Next up is another scotch. This one has some prestige about it. This is the Aberlour 14. It's not a bad whiskey. It's just that Aberlour do a better job with the Aberlour 12. I would choose the 12 over the 14 any day, and it's $50 cheaper. I think the flavour profile is more pronounced on the 12. It's probably the same in terms of smoothness and rounded off. I don't think the extra 2 years is worth paying the extra $50 a bottle. Do yourself a favour, the Aberlour 12 is readily available and a much better buy in my opinion. Next up is another scotch. This one is the Glenmarnock. This is actually an Aldi whiskey, and whilst it's not bad, it's not at that level that you want to be spending your hard-earned on, right? This is probably around $55 a bottle. It drinks okay, and it's, not worth turfing, but I won't buy it again. I'd spend the extra $20, and I'd go for something like the Glenmorangie 10. Has an age statement, not that that means anything, a little bit more prestige if you've got an age statement, this one doesn't. But for the extra $20, this is a lot smoother, has a lot more distinctive flavour profile, and I think you'd enjoy this one neat or mixed in a cocktail far more than you would this one. So don't try and save $20 on a whiskey when you know there's a better option out there. All right, go for the Glenmorangie instead of an Aldi whiskey. Next, we're still in Scotland, but we're going Islay. This next one is the Smokehead. It's 43% ABV. It just doesn't pack a punch. When I say doesn't pack a punch, it's not interesting. The flavour profile is a bit dead on that. It's just smoke, and it's not that type of smoke that you're looking for in an Islay. There's no fruit. It's pretty bland through the middle. So I suggest that you give the Smokehead a wide berth. For an extra $10, you can probably pick up the Ardbeg 10, which is an absolute cracker. So any day of the week, the Ardbeg 10 is going to be your winner. If you watched some of my videos before, you'd know that I'm an Ardbeg fan. There's not bias here because this is just by far and away 100% better whiskey than what the Smokehead is. So do yourself a favour, spend the extra 10, maybe it's $20, depending on where you're buying from, but the Ardbeg 10 is a much better option than Smokehead. I regret buying that one. Next up's another Islay, and it's a big name one. It's the Laphroaig Select. This is an entry-level Laphroaig, so it's right at the bottom. And unfortunately, it doesn't hit the mark, in my opinion. It just falls a little bit flat. It doesn't have the balance. It doesn't have some of those fruit flavors from the barrel influence that a lot of the other whiskies do. It doesn't have that distinctive campfire smoke like the Laphroaig 10 does, which is my recommendation. Now, I'm actually out of the Laphroaig 10, but this is the cask strength version. Not saying you buy this, but the Laphroaig 10, spend the extra $20, go for the next level up. Similar profile in terms of the smoke, but much better balance, much fuller, richer mouthfeel. Do yourself a favour, go for the 10, avoid the Select. Okay, next up we travel to Japan. Here we've got the Suntory whiskey. So this is actually a cheap one, and I regret not spending a little bit more on this particular one. It's got a nasty metal cap on it, which is a little bit cheap. The bottle's quite nice. The whiskey's okay. It's not terrible, okay? None of these whiskies that I'm reviewing tonight are terrible, right? But there are better options out there for not much more that will actually help you enjoy your whiskey more. The one thing that turns people off whiskey is poor choices in most cases. So avoid the Suntory whiskey and spend an extra $30 or $40 to buy a quality Nikka coffee malt. You will enjoy that 10 times more than this one. So the Nikka coffee malt, fantastic entry-level Japanese whiskey. It's a single malt instead of a blend, which is even better. It is going to run you a little bit more than the Suntory, but you won't regret buying this one. Whereas if you purchase this one, I think you probably regret it. So go for the Nikka coffee malt instead of the Suntory whiskey. Next up, we go to America. Next up is a bourbon, and it's Basil Hayden. Now, probably comes as no surprise to a lot of people. It's either a love or a hate relationship with Basil Hayden. But I think as a Beam product, it falls flat and is very similar to the Beam White Label in terms of, you know, how it's perceived. It doesn't have those amped up bourbon flavors, vanilla, caramel, brown sugar, those sorts of things. There's no spice. It's pretty flat on the palate, pretty thin mouthfeel. So in my opinion, do yourself a favour, steer clear of the Basil Hayden. That's my view. If you've got an extra $20 or $30 to spend and you want to stay in the Beam stable, then Knob Creek is a fantastic example. The Knob Creek Sprawl Batch is a wonderful sipper. It is higher proof, so you've got 100 proof compared to 80 here. That explains a lot of the difference in the flavours, but this is quality. This also has that prototypical dusty sort of peanut flavour that Knob Creek's famous for. Fantastic option. Really love this whiskey. Really don't like this whiskey, to be honest. That's my opinion. Go for the Knob Creek over the Basil Hayden. Next up is another bourbon, and this one might shock a few people. We've got the Weller 12. Okay, so this is a bit of a tater whiskey. A lot of people after this one. It's highly allocated and it's quite expensive, to be honest, right? I don't think the way it drinks, it justifies the price. Pretty disappointed when I cracked this one open the first time. I'd been looking forward to the Weller 12 for a number of years, and it's hard to get hold of here in Australia. When I did get it, I was pretty disappointed. I've only had the one pour. Maybe I need to have another one, but the first one was really, really disappointing. I'd suggest don't spend the extra 3 times the amount and go for the regular Weller Special Reserve. It's exactly the same juice, exactly the same proof, just half the age and 1/3 of the price. I think this drink's remarkably similar. I don't think the extra age does this any favours at all. So in my opinion, save a bunch of cash, put it towards some of the other whiskies, go for the Special Reserve. There really isn't a lot of difference. And in fact, you're not going to get that astringency from the extra age. So I think personally, if I had a choice, I would pick this. Well, if I had a choice, I'd choose this for price first and foremost. But in a blind, I reckon I'd probably pick this one as my favourite if I was doing the two of them side by side. So save your money. This is expensive and it's not worth it. All right, our ninth whiskey is a rye. And here's another controversial one, perhaps, the Jack Daniel's Rye. This one just falls a bit flat. It's not really that interesting. It has some rye spice, but it just doesn't have those flavours that you're looking for in a rye. They're not amped up. They're just a bit flat in the middle and the finish is a bit thin. So this is a 90 proof, which is a little bit disappointing. The regular Jack Daniel's, the number 7, the black label, is only 80 proof. And I think overall, apart from the rye spice and the little bit of heat there's not a lot of difference in the flavour profile, in my opinion. There might be that little bit of herbal spice, but I just don't think that this is a great option. There's plenty of others. I'd suggest go for its number one competitor with the Wild Turkey Rye. This is a far better option. It's probably $10 a bottle cheaper. It's a little bit lower in proof, but for me, what I really love about rye is not only the rye spice and the finish, but I also love that herbal note that you get with some ryes. And this has that little bit of a hint with it. So it's got that little bit of a minty sort of a mentholy sort of finish on it, which I really enjoy. So I think the Wild Turkey Rye is my pick every day of the week over the Jack Daniel's Rye. All right, number 10, last one. We're going to Ireland. And I've got two Jamesons that I'm going to put side by side here. So if you're looking for a finished whiskey, the IPA Caskmate Jameson just doesn't do the trick. I don't think that there's any of that influence. If you're expecting a bit of hoppiness or a bit of spice from that finish, you're really not getting it. And it falls flat with the Jameson IPA Caskmate. On the other hand, the Jameson Stout Cask is actually really, really good. So pick this one every day. It really lends itself well to that Jameson's profile, which is that vanilla shortbread sort of profile. The creaminess that the Stout Cask adds to it really elevates it. So I would pick this one every day of the week over the IPA Caskmate. They're going to be the same price, I'd imagine, everywhere you can find them. This is a better option, in my opinion. Go the Stout Cask. Adds that beautiful bit of velvety mouth feel as opposed to this one. It misses the mark. I think it's just a little bit confused. IPAs and whiskey, not sure they mix together in the same bottle. I'm just going to have a sip. Okay, that's the 10 whiskies that I regret buying, and I've given you a really viable option to choose alongside that. I've put up the ones which I think you should steer clear of, and I've given you a really, really viable option. So next time you're in the whiskey aisle and you've got two whiskies that you're looking at, hopefully you can use my experience and my advice to help you make the right decision. If you found this information valuable, then please consider subscribing. I've got a lot more ideas on what we can do in the future, and I've got a lot of experience with whiskey here at Birdman's Bar and Grill. Our aim is to help you elevate your whiskey game. So until next time, cheers.